Hello, what's up, Guru Nation? In today's podcast episode, we will be discussing rookies and breakouts. I'm here with my co-host, Josh. How you doing today, Josh?
Doing great.
That's awesome, man. We are ready to kill it today with rookies and breakouts. This is an essential episode, y'all. Y'all are going to need this one on draft day in order to know which rookies and breakouts do I draft on my team, which ones are going to really make that impact that I'm looking for me to win my fantasy league. So let's dive right in here and let's start it off with the rookie that's really going to make a huge impact this year, and that's Saquon Barkley. Do you feel like he's a first-round pick, Josh? Do you feel like he's going to be that cornerstone that wins you your league?
Absolutely. I would go as bold as to say he's a top 5 pick. Take him if you can. I wouldn't take him over, my top 4 running backs, obviously, if I have him at number 5. But I would take him in that top 5. I don't think you let him slip much farther than that. He's going to be the cornerstone of that entire offense, and he can 100% win you your league if you do a better job of drafting the rest of your team around him.
For sure. I really love Saquon this year. I actually took him as the anchor of my Twitter versus Instagram Experts League team. We did that draft back in July, and people were saying, man, you're nuts for taking Saquon top 5. I was like, you got to be a trendsetter, y'all. Got to be a trendsetter here and take him top 5, and because he was the best player available at that point.
That's right.
And back then, everyone was telling me, oh, you got to go receiver, Brown or Hopkins. And I really like those guys, don't get me wrong. But at that point, I just needed to secure that rock-solid every down back. And Saquon was the only one of those guys left. And he's got potential to do even better than those top 4 running backs, as Josh referenced. I actually like Saquon better this year than Le'Veon Bell. So I really feel like Saquon is going to have that breakout season that gets your team over the edge. So if you have a mid-round, like middle of the first-round pick, and he would somehow slip to you like at 6th, 7th, don't hesitate to take him. Don't let that rookie label scare you off. Make sure to scoop him up and have him as your cornerstone, because he's going to break out and potentially have a top 4 fantasy season.
Most definitely. Absolutely.
Alrighty, here, moving on to some breakout running backs. A couple of guys that come to mind for me in the 2nd, 3rd round, preferably the 3rd round, are Joe Mixon and Jerick McKinnon. I prefer Mixon out of those two. Which one do you prefer, Josh?
I might actually lean towards McKinnon a little bit more. I'm not a big fan on Joe Mixon. I think that he still has... what's the running back's name that's behind him? Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank right there. But Giovanni Bernard, I think, is still going to be kind of a vulture to him. He's going to take away a lot of those catches out of the backfield. And I just didn't see enough of Mixon last year as a role in that offense for me to say that I think he's going to be a big breakout this year. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I think he'll be solid, but I don't think he's going to be much of a breakout. Now, Jerick McKinnon, on the other hand, I'm not really seeing much competition over there in San Francisco. I think if he stays healthy, I think he could be really solid for that team, and especially catching balls out of the backfield in PPR. I think he'll be really solid. Absolutely.
Yeah, the reason I'm feeling Mixon more because I feel like he's a more complete back that's going to be able to hold up for the full 16 games. I'm not worried much about Giovanni Bernard because the coaching staff is on Mixon's side. They're really talking Mixon up there, talking him up as if he's their every down back, and I think he will be. The first few weeks, Gio might have a little more of a role, but once Mixon gets comfortable and takes control of that job, I feel like he's going to have a huge breakout year this year. I see him getting well over 1,000 yards and then get some receiving yards on top of it. So I feel like he's going to have a huge year. Could be an RB1 this season. Well, so if you can get him there in the 3rd, late 2nd, early 3rd, I'm all in. I'm not as big on McKinnon, though, due to durability concerns. Never handled a full 3-down workload before. Also has Matt Breida behind him who could break out, so I'm not feeling McKinnon as much this season.
Now, let me say this. As a former Bengals fan, I don't care what the coaching staff says or what they do. They're still garbage. So I'm way more worried about Giovanni Bernard than I am about Matt Breida. But that's just me. So...
Gotcha. I just feel like the coaching staff, though, in Cincinnati is determined to get Mixon the ball. And they just had a recent report, even though they had been talking McKinnon up as every down back, a recent report leaked out that they realistically realize that he's not going to be a true bell cow there. He just doesn't fit that mold. He just doesn't have that build, where Mixon does. Mixon, if he fits the system right, breaks out, he could easily be that bell cow.
We'll see. I'm sure they'll find a way to screw it up. Like they always do.
Kind of a bitter former Bengals fan over here. Might be a little too harsh on Mixon there. All right, well,
we're not going to talk about it.
Moving on to some to some big breakout rookies that I'm really big on. Two guys that had big preseasons there in the first week of preseason just got wrapped up. The two guys that really stood out to me as guys that are really going to break out this year and proved it there in week one of the preseason, Royce Freeman and Kerryon Johnson. Royce Freeman and Kerryon. I'm actually leaning more toward Royce because he doesn't have as much of a committee. Only Devontae Booker, who's not very good. So once he leapfrogs past him, he'll have the backfield to himself. Kerryon, I feel like, is just as good or better. However, he's got way more of a committee there with Riddick catching balls out the backfield, and then LeGarrette Blount there to touchdown vulture. However, I feel like Kerryon's talent's going to win out in the end, and that he'll end up posting solid RB2 numbers. But as of now, I'd go with Freeman just due to the fact that he's got more of a more clear path to carries.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't like Kerryon Johnson's situation in Detroit. Like you said, though, he could emerge out of it, and I hope he does. But LeGarrette Blount really scares me. He's a big-time vulture, and I don't like that at all. I don't like him possibly stealing goal line carries from him and, third down and 1 or so, those kind of carries. I don't like my early down running backs having running backs like that behind him. So I'm not big on Kerryon Johnson this year unless he takes the starting spot and they get some injuries maybe. But I absolutely agree. Royce Freeman, 100% over Kerryon Johnson.
Right, for sure. I mean, I love Kerryon. I really hope he breaks out. But yeah, as far as if you guys are in a draft there and you need if you decide to go, if you go WWR or something, you need a running back in the 4th, I'd have to advise Freeman. Where Johnson would be more of a flex/depth piece right now, I'd say, just because of that awful committee there. It's a shame because I feel like he's a potentially elite talent, and I think he will break out of the committee at some point, but Freeman's just got such a clear path. They got to go with him. Right. Then some other rookie running backs that could break out. Ronald Jones and Sony Michel. A lot of people are hyping him up earlier in this offseason, but Rojo just didn't really catching on as quick as people were thinking. Was having some trouble with pass protection, but the coaching said that he looked a little better with that in the preseason. And just he's another one, though, kind of like Royce Freeman, just has no real competition in the backfield. So I feel like he'll have that starting job wrapped up by week 1. Just their offense, as Josh had mentioned, I believe in the previous episode, is just not very... It's not going to be very efficient this year, so it's going to be tough for Rojo to get those goal line carries. And then Sony Michel, again, a very good talent there, but similar to Kerryon in the fact that he's got just so much competition for carries there. Rex Burkhead going to be taking stuff. James White going to be getting stuff out the backfield. They might have Mike Gillislee still there stealing goal line carries. So, I mean, it's just a mess there in New England. And also Michel coming off a minor knee injury. Should be ready to go for week 1, but definitely not going to get the snaps that you need from your RB2. And then Rojo hopefully will, but just, again, being in that offense just kind of concerns me. So, I don't know about you, but out of those two, I'd go with Ronald Jones. But
guys, you heard it here first. Ronald Jones will not break out this year. Okay, that is my bold prediction. All right. Honestly, if I'm not taking either one of these guys in drafts, I'm not even taking them if they fall. I don't like either one of them. I don't like the situation Ronald Jones is in at all. I think the offense is going to be god awful this year. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be that good at all. So I don't think the potential for him to shine is going to be there. And then Sony Michel, I don't like picking New England running backs because of the way that they run their system over there. As far as the running back's concerned, he might get 22 points one game, and then he might not even see the field the next week. And I don't want to take a chance on a guy like that, especially if he's going to be my running back 2 or my flex. There's no chance I'm taking a chance on... Oh, there's no chance I'm taking a chance. I like that. On a New England running back, as talented as he is, I'm not taking that chance. So I'm staying away from both of these guys completely. I just don't like them. I don't like either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Ronald Jones there as a later in the middle round just because he's going to be such a good value. A lot of people are going to be hopping off his bandwagon. Same with Michelle, but yeah, if their current ADP is not too big on them, but there's a chance they could fall because a lot of people are going to be hyping up Royce and Kerryon. So we'll have to just see that's another thing, y'all, in these drafts. Got to keep an eye on that average draft position and kind of just see where these guys are going and see which guys you can just kind of pick off the bargain bin, so to speak. I mean, even though Rojo isn't prime for the breakout year. I was thinking earlier this offseason, if he would slip like to the 7th or 8th round, that's a steal for a guy that could easily win that starting job. So I mean, we'll have to see how that goes. Then another interesting running back battle here is the Seattle Seahawks backfield. We've got a potential breakout rookie in Rashad Penny, and then a potential breakout second-year player in Chris Carson. It's been a back-and-forth battle in camp so far. Carson's got the lead right now. However, a lot of people are expecting Penny to win the job. So which one do you think is going to break out and take the reins there?
So we did talk about this a little bit before we got on camera, and I'm really conflicted as to what I want to do with this situation. I'm kind of going to probably stay away from both of these guys also, just because we don't know what Pete Carroll wants to do just yet. But if I had to pick one, and if I would, it would be super late round. It would be Penny, and that's because I think he just has a better shot at being the pass-catching running back for him, and I think they're going to be passing the ball a lot. So if I had to pick one, it would be Penny. But I'm
right.
Really
I can agree with that
of
because I feel like Penny could be the more complete back. It's just Penny's just still going way too high in drafts. People are expecting him to be there every down back, and he's going as like an RB2, and there's no way in hell I trust him as my RB2 because Chris Carson could easily beat him out because he's no slouch there. I mean, it's not like he's Devontae Booker or something. I mean, the guy actually showed something last year. The guy could be a breakout player there, so I'm staying away from both. But if I had to choose one, I'd go Penny, but he's going to be long gone by the time I'd be looking at him, so I'm just staying away there. Another guy I feel like could break out is Tariq Cohen there in the new system in Chicago. Another player could be a post-type breakout, Dante Foreman. There's not much competition there in Houston if Lamar Miller can get back. I know a player you're big on, Josh, a nice post-type sleeper there, C.J. Anderson. What are your thoughts on him?
I love C.J. Anderson this year. I'm not really big on Christian McCaffrey. I never really have been. But I don't think Christian McCaffrey's role is going to hurt C.J. Anderson's at all, and I don't think C.J.'s is going to hurt Christian McCaffrey's. Because I think Christian McCaffrey...
Yeah, I mean, I like McCaffrey, but yeah, there's only so much he can do. He's kind of limited. That's why I'm not hyping him up as an RB1.
And they already came out and said they're going to use him all over the field. So they're going to put him in the slot. They're going to put him, everywhere. But CJ is going to get the bulk of the runs. And more importantly, CJ is going to get goal line carries. So I especially love CJ in standard leagues. In PPR, I think you can make a better case for Christian McCaffrey, but I think standard, 100% you go all the way with C.J. Anderson.
And he's a great value in drafts. Yeah, for standard leagues, McCaffrey's an awful value, where Anderson's a bargain there in the mid to late rounds. Yep. And then Nyheim Hines is a breakout rookie there you can get in the late rounds that I really like. Could be the next Alvin Kamara, y'all. Not saying he will be. I don't feel like he's as talented, but he's in a good system for success there, especially if Andrew Luck's healthy. They're going to put him all over the field there, and he could break out, y'all, for sure. I feel like he's probably the best, fast little guy, pass catching running back. He could break out in a big way this season.
Yep.
And then moving on here to wide receivers, they got some breakouts here. A guy I really like, Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm all in with Juju this year. I know he's the number 2 there behind AB, but I just feel like Juju's gonna have a huge year. He's a big play guy, going to break out in a big way there with Big Ben. Has a good connection with him. Didn't catch too many balls last year, but he was only a rookie. And once he got comfortable, he really took off and had some huge weeks. I feel like he's going to be more consistent this year and deliver that solid WR2 production.
I like Juju. I don't think I like him as much as you do, but I like him in my flex. I wouldn't necessarily be super comfortable with him being my wide receiver too, but I would.
But yeah, flex.
I would really
I'd
love to
him
have
as
him
a
in my flex. I think.
In 10-man leagues, I'd probably feel more comfortable as a flex. 12-man, I'd be WR2 all day.
I definitely do think though that you're going to get a little bit more inconsistency this year from Juju. I think there's going to be some games.
I think he'll be more consistent, to be honest. Last year he was...
Because I think more defenses are going to be aware of him now. And I think they're going to have a better game plan for him.
How are they going to pay too much attention to him, though? They got Bell, they got to stop. They got Brown, they got to stop.
I didn't say pay more attention, or pay a lot of attention. I just said they're going to pay more attention than last year. Last year, nobody knew who he was. And then he just broke onto the scene. Now,
I still think Brown's going to still get a lot of double teams and stuff, and it's going to open up a lot of stuff for Juju.
I still think Juju's going to be good, okay? I think he's going to have a solid year. I'm not drafting him in the 4th round like other people.
Oh, yeah, I'm all in.
That's just my thing. I would draft him 5th or 6th round, But for me, I wouldn't draft him that high. Not a wide receiver too. I don't know. I just think he's going to be a little too inconsistent for me right there.
If you want Juju, you got to go all in with him, y'all, and I'm all in.
I'm not all in. Then.
I guess you won't get him then.
Hey, I won't get him, and I'm fine with that. All right. Give me Marquise Goodwin later.
And that's like two other guys that here are going to be big breakouts, I feel like, are Corey Davis, and then, like you just mentioned, Marquise Goodwin. I feel like both of these guys have huge breakout potential. I'm more of a Davis guy. I know you're more of a Goodwin guy. I just feel like Davis has more breakout potential there in the Tennessee offense. They're going to be throwing more this year, and he's their clear number one. He doesn't have to worry about a Pierre Garçon or a rookie and Dante Pettis. He's just there. He's their only guy. He's their only guy other than Delaney Walker. And I mean, Delaney Walker gets his consistent carry, his catches. Rashard Matthews, guys, is not the only reason he's just not fantasy relevant. The only reason he had that breakout year couple of years ago is because they had no other receivers. They had nothing.
But that's exactly how I feel about Pierre Garçon.
And that's why I feel like Corey Davis is going to have a huge breakout year because he's going to be pretty much their only true vertical threat there that's really good. And then defenses will still be paying some attention to Matthews, so it's not like he's going to get double teamed every time. So I feel like Davis has a great shot for over 1,000 yards, 80-something catches, 8+ touchdowns, which is, I feel like, solid WR2 production there. I mean, he's just a guy I feel good about. I feel like he's going to have a nice breakout year in year two. Had a injury-plagued rookie season, but I feel like this year he's going to go off and have a good year. Big year.
So as you can tell, we obviously disagree on this one. I am not a big Corey Davis fan this year. I know he was injured a lot last year, which of course worries me also. But I just didn't see enough from him last year, even when he was on the field, for me to think that he's going to be a wide receiver 2 worthy pick. I don't like Marcus Mariota enough to think that he's going to be able to give him the ball enough for him to be that kind of fantasy relevant. I wouldn't mind him in my flex, but as my wide receiver 2, absolutely not. I'm staying away from that. But Marquise Goodwin is one of my, I don't know how you want to say, he's one of my biggest breakouts this year. I love Marquise Goodwin. I'm all in with Goodwin as he's all in with Juju. Give me Goodwin all day where he's being drafted. I absolutely love it. I think Jimmy G is going to look for him often.
Right. They had a good connection last year, and I feel like it could continue
from what I hear,
is
faster than Tyreek Hill? That's ridiculous. I mean, that's insane. So he's going to be a huge play receiver this year. I think he's going to be amazing. He burned Richard Sherman in practice like we all saw, which I love because I hate Richard Sherman. So that just made me love him even more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy's got breakout potential. I like him, too. I wasn't feeling him too much, but now that he's continued what he was doing last year in practice this year, and I think I've come to the realization that Pierre Garçon is not going to be the number one over there. No. It's Goodwin's job, and he's going to have a nice season.
Obviously,
he's a great flex play.
Turned you.
And
right? Yeah. You can admit it. It was my. See, now you like Goodwin over Davis. That's no.
You're not.
I'm just saying.
It's been a good show, but you're not turning me like that. Come on, I've been hyping Corey Davis up all season now.
We'll just monitor that throughout.
That's my player. Yeah, we're not. I like Goodwin. I've definitely moved him up in my rankings, but I'm not moving him ahead of my boy Corey Davis or Juju. Those guys are definitely staying ahead of Goodwin. But I definitely would feel really comfortable now with Goodwin as my flex. Where earlier in the all season I was kind of concerned more about Garçon, or now I'm like I'm all in with him as a flex for sure. And then another guy I like as a flex there is Nelson Aguilar. I feel like he could break out this year because Alshon Jeffrey coming off shoulder surgery, not big on him. Just feel like he's just getting up to that age where a decline can happen at any moment. So I feel like Aguilar could step up this year and may possibly become the wide receiver 1 in that explosive Eagles offense.
I agree. I think Carson Wentz is going to have a really solid year this year. As we were talking earlier, we were talking a little bit about Carson Wentz. I think he's going to do a little bit better than what you think he's going to do. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, and I think he's going to play like a top 5 quarterback. So I think he's definitely going to get Nelson the ball a lot, and I think he'll easily be a flex. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the two other guys that could be flex is PPR gyms that could break out in a big way this year. Jamison Crowder and Cooper Kupp. I like Crowder a little better because he's got a more clear path to targets. Kupp going to be fighting with Woods and Brandon Cooks. But I mean, he's in a better offense than Crowder, but I just feel like Crowder has no real competition for targets there, and Alex Smith's gonna have to throw to somebody. So I feel like he has a little more breakout potential there than Cup. But both guys could be great options in PPR.
I think for me, every time I'll take the route runner. Give me the amazing route runner. And Cooper Kupp is one of those guys that is just an amazing route runner. He's kind of like a short white Larry Fitzgerald, if you will. He's kind of like one of those Adam Thielen types. He's just he's not going to outrun everybody. He's not going to put on the jukes or break tap. But he is an incredible route runner. And for me, give me those guys all day. I'll take him over Crowder 100% in my flex and be super happy with it.
I just don't think the volume's going to be there, but we'll see. I mean, if he
Turn
could
the volume
break
up. Turn the volume up. It's going to be there. It's gonna be there.
We'll have to see there because I just feel like Goff had a good connection with Woods last year, and then Cooks is going to get his targets. But we'll have to see how that goes around. That's why I'm not really feeling any Rams receivers, to be honest. A guy I'm feeling here is a post-type sleeper breakout there for the LA Chargers is Mike Williams. I really feel like Mike Williams could have a big second-year breakout. He's getting a lot of red zone targets, they said in practice, especially with Hunter Henry going down. They said Mike Williams could be their big target there in the red zone. I could see him. That's an explosive offense. I could see him possibly getting double-digit touchdowns there. And if so, he'll be a great flex option there. And he's been going super late in drafts.
I agree. Because Hunter Henry went down, I think he could be a flex option. I would be more comfortable with him on my bench and kind of monitoring how he goes.
Yeah. He's going so late. You could definitely get him for the bench.
Yeah, but because Hunter Henry went down, absolutely, he's going to be a red zone target. I think Keenan Allen's still going to take the bulk of the targets away. Even Melvin Gordon out of the backfield is starting to improve his pass catching more and more. He's going to take targets out. But I agree that he could be sneaky, especially in standard leagues. If you have a flex in your standard league, he could be a sneaky play as your flex to get touchdowns. So it's possible. It's very possible.
For sure. And then two rookie receivers I really like this year that could have huge breakout years. Not usually rookie receivers don't break out too much, but I feel like both of these guys could easily break out, get 800 to 1,000 yards. And that's DJ Moore and Michael Gallup. Really like both of these guys this year. Have a lot of targets there for the taking on their respective teams. I feel like both of them could break out there and be great bargains for the late rounds.
Yeah, I like DJ Moore as well. I think DJ Moore is going to finish as the top wide receiver rookie this year. I think he's going to do great in Carolina. Cam's going to give him the ball a lot. He's definitely a flex-worthy player. Might even be a wide receiver, too, by the end of the year. I'm a little bit higher on Calvin Ridley than I am Gallup, as he said. I think Calvin Ridley in Atlanta being there with Julio, kind of the same argument that you used for Juju, I'm going to use for Atlanta and say that so much attention is going to be on Julio that Calvin is going to get a lot of targets. That's
the only thing that concerns me there is Mohamed Sanu. He was no slouch last year. He had a good year. So
I'm not concerned with Mohamed. They specifically drafted Calvin Ridley to replace Mohamed Sanu. I am not worried about Mohamed Sanu at all. I'm not. That's me. I'm not.
I just feel like he still has a year. Probably bringing in Ridley in next year. I'm sure they'll cut Sanu, but for this year, I still feel like Sanu will have a role. That's why I'm not feeling Ridley too much.
I think Sanu will be
I'm feeling more guys like Gallup because he's got a clearer path to targets there. Could easily finish as Dallas's number one. Then another guy I like is Christian Kirk there in Arizona because other than Larry Fitzgerald, they really have no one else they throw to, so that's why I like those guys a little bit. It's a clear path on their depth charts. That's why I like them better. And then got some other guys that could break out. Post-type sleeper there, Cameron Meredith, who's going to be with the Saints now. Actually had a good year with the Bears a couple years ago, even though he had no quarterback. I feel like with Drew Brees throwing him the ball, hey, the sky's the limit. I mean, I know they have Michael Thomas, but they still have some other weapons there, but he could, if he gets that good rapport going with Breeze, he could break out and have a very nice season. And another guy I like there, I know he's in a crowded receiving core in Jacksonville, but I definitely feel like he's the most talented guy they have, and that's D.D. Westbrook. Actually saw him in the preseason game against my Saints. We were playing Jacksonville, and D.D. Westbrook looked really good. Like, he was making plays. We have a strong secondary, but he was making plays and showing me like why I was kind of high on him this offseason because I felt like he was their most talented receiver. I like him better than Marquise Lee and Dante Moncrief for sure. So I feel like D.D. could break out there and have a decent year and be, if you're in a bye week pinch, could be a decent flex play.
I agree. I like D.D. a lot. I think D.D. has a little bit more value than Cameron Meredith. I actually think Traquan Smith.
Right, that's a guy. Keep an eye on. Yeah, Traquan Smith, the off of the Saints. Saints rookie receiver. Keep an eye on him. Y'all heard it here first. Traquan Smith could be that breakout rookie that gets you over the edge. No one's talking about him because he's kind of buried on the depth chart right now, but he was making big plays in the preseason, and if he could pass up Meredith or Ted Ginn and get a roll there in 3 receiver sets, he could break out and have a big year. So keep an eye on Traquan, y'all. Heard it here first on Guru's podcast.
Subscribe if you pick Traquan. Anyways, yes, I kind of think Cameron Meredith is going to have a role similar to kind of what Brandon Coleman had last year, where every now and then he'll give you a pretty good touchdown.
I definitely feel like he'll do better than that.
But that's
I feel like it's the one that could end up getting phased out.
That's where I have him at. But then I have Traquan Smith coming in and completely taking that second wide receiver role over there, and I think he'll break through and then he'll break out. So that's why I have him ahead of him, and I'm sticking to it.
Alrighty, let's touch on quarterbacks real quick. We had 2 guys that were having huge years last year. Well, one of them got hurt. The other one just was because of a late season trade. The guy that got hurt was Deshaun Watson. Had a huge year last year. Was having a huge year before he tore his ACL. And then Jimmy Garoppolo got traded from the Patriots and stepped in there at the 49ers. Had a big stretch run there in the last 4 weeks. So do you feel like these guys are legit? I mean, I'm buying both of them, especially Garoppolo, because of the value you can get him at in drafts. Watson going a little too high for my liking, but man, Garoppolo is such a good bargain there in those late rounds.
Oh, I agree. I'm huge on Deshaun Watson. I have been since he came out of college. He was making me look like a genius last year until he got hurt, because I had picked him as one of my last picks in a 16-team league. He was my backup. And then after the first week, I started him, and he was putting up 30 to 40 points every week. So I was looking great, and then he got hurt, and it was so disappointing. But I love the guy. I think he's a great guy. He's a really good quarterback. He's smart. He's very coachable. I love him. So I'm all in with him. The only thing I don't like you said, I don't like where he's being drafted. He's being drafted a little bit too high.
Right, he's going up there with the Bradys and Breezes, and I feel like those guys have done it for so long. You got to go with the proven vets like that.
So I probably won't be drafting him because of the fact that he's getting drafted just a little bit too high, but I do still love him. I do still think he's going to have a great year. Jimmy Garoppolo is another one I love. I love where he's getting drafted. I love having him as a backup. Absolutely.
He's going to have a whole off season to learn that offense now. I mean, he stepped in and did well last year in the limited times. I feel like now he's going to have the grasp on the playbook, got the good weapons. They like a good win we had mentioned earlier. So I feel like he's going to have a breakout and have a huge year.
Absolutely.
Other guys, a guy that a lot of people are hyping up, I know you're not too big on him. I'm not big on him either. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he only played 1 week last year. I just feel like we need to slow down the hype train on him because I feel like he's just going to be too inconsistent to be a QB1. He'll have his big weeks, yeah, for sure, but he's got the big play receivers there and Hill and especially Sammy Watkins, who's just totally inconsistent. And then I just don't trust him to be that consistent QB1. The guy I actually like is a post-type quarterback there is Derek Carr. A lot of people were hyping him up last year. This year, everyone's just totally hopped off his bandwagon, going undrafted in a lot of leagues. And I feel like Carr could easily outproduce Mahomes.
Absolutely. I love Carr. I think Carr's a very solid quarterback. I think with Mahomes, I think it's kind of ridiculous to think that he's going to just come out and just put up all these huge numbers. I mean, Alex Smith is a very solid quarterback, and even Alex Smith the last couple of years has just kind of been like a middle of the road as far as fantasy
Right, he
goes.
finally broke out last season, but I mean, Matt Nagy's gone there, OC. He's now at the Bears and could help Mitchell Trubisky break out.
Right, and I don't think, unless Patrick Mahomes comes out and he just starts throwing all kind of Madden throws to Tyreek Hill and gets gets 3 or 4 touchdowns. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not high on him. I'm not even drafting him. If I'm wrong about it, I'm wrong, but I just don't.
They have so many other quarterbacks out there. You can get a Matt Ryan or a Big Ben, Stafford, Rivers at that ADP, and I just don't feel like I'd rather one of those is just a safe vet so you know what you're getting. Mahomes is just too erratic.
Absolutely.
And then some rookies that could possibly make an impact, probably more in the second half, be Lamar Jackson due to his mobility and Sam Darnold, but neither one are worth drafting in redraft formats.
Yep.
And then at tight end, the guy that me and Josh are super high on, I wouldn't really say he's not really a guy that no one knows about. Everyone knows him, but like a lot of people sleep on him, and that's Kyle Rudolph. I really feel like Rudolph's going to break out this year and put it all together, especially with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I feel like he could easily finish as a top 5 tight end.
Yep. Absolutely. I have him in my top 5 tight end to start of the year. I think he's going to be the number 2 option in Minnesota behind, I'm drawing a blank again.
I feel like Thielen and Diggs will
Thielen, that's
get
what I'm talking
the main targets, but he's gonna be for sure the number 3 because they really have no number 3 receiver, and then he's gonna get a lot of red zone targets as well. I feel like he could easily get 8 to 10 touchdowns there, and then he'll get more targets this season than he did.
We disagree a little on that
I
because
feel like he's gonna have a huge year.
I think Thielen's gonna be number 1. I think Rudolph will be number 2 with Diggs at number 3. That's how I feel.
Man.
I think Diggs will be
really
a little
sleeping
bit more,
on Diggs.
Yeah, I think Diggs will be more of the big play receiver. Like he'll get the longest receiving touchdowns out of the 3. But I think as far as targets goes, I'm going Rudolph and Thielen for sure over Diggs. That's what I have.
And some breakout potential tight ends there. We've got David Njoku could break out there. Trey Burton with the Bears and that new offense. George Kittle in the 49er system could break out. I feel like Njoku could be an amazing value because he's going to get some red zone targets there. A lot of red zone targets, I feel like. So, I mean, I know it's the Browns, but they'll have a better offense this year. And I could feel like double-digit touchdowns is definitely a possibility, and he'll be better in his second year. Yeah. So I feel like he could break out for sure.
The guy is crazy athletic. He's one of the most athletic tight ends that we have in the league. And we already saw in their first preseason game that Baker Mayfield obviously likes to throw to him. Threw a beautiful touchdown to him. So
right.
They obviously have at least a little bit. I'm not going crazy by it, but they do have a little bit of a connection already. So if he takes over the starting spot, I'm talking about Baker, I would definitely keep an eye on that. And if he takes over that starting spot, he might be sneaky.
For sure. And then some rookies that could break out there at tight end. Not usually a position for rookies, but 2 guys that you could keep an eye on there. Mike Gesicki in Miami. I actually kind of like him there because they have a lot of targets there for the takings. I feel like he could possibly be this year's Evan Ingram there. And then another rookie to keep an eye on there, Hayden Hurst in Baltimore, another team with a weak receiving core. Probably won't be consistent enough to draft, but could be a guy you could keep your eye on throughout the year, possibly if you're in a bye week pinch, need a tight end. Hurst could be good fill-in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a big Gesicki fan just because I don't like Miami's offense at all.
Yeah, I don't either, but there's just so many targets there for the takings. Yeah. Devontae Parker is a disappointment. He sucks, and then Amendola is just a slot guy, and then Kenny Still's a deep threat. That's really all they have. So I feel like Gesicki could have that big red zone role for sure.
It could be decent. We'll see.
So, alrighty, well that wraps it up for rookies and breakouts. Thanks for tuning in to Guru's podcast. Gonna have a lot more content here coming out to get you ready for draft season.